what I really meant by this is a new era in the DC universe is listening to the fans. Listening to the fans. Now, and doing our best to give the fans what they want. Sean, it's good to see you. It's good to see that t-shirt. I like it a lot. Let's start with that.
Mr. Cavill asked me to wear this to intimidate you.
He's intimidated me enough lately.
So I went back to the Cinema Blend archives and found a story that we wrote in September of 2014 of you tweeting, kneel at his feet or get crushed by his boot. And you were going to be playing Black Adam in a Shazam movie for New Line. So my point being, for almost a decade, you have stood by this character and this project. And knowing how projects can come and go in Hollywood and even dream projects can hit obstacles, what was it about this one in particular that made you stick with it for this amount of time?
I had a sense in my gut. I really had a strong feeling that there would be something really appealing about Black Adam to the world. And that if done right, there would be maybe a good amount of people who could see themselves in Black Adam. But then also, man, if done right, we could really shake up the universe. We could shake up the DC universe. And, you know, I get it, and you know the business very well, in that it for a studio executive, when it's time to make those investments, it's easier to make those investments with IP that everybody knows and loves. I love, like you and us, I love Superman, I love your shirt, I love Henry, Batman, you name it, Wonder Woman, I love the Justice League. But it was time, I felt even back then, that it's time for new blood and fresh blood. Yeah. And if you look at the DC Bible and the pantheon of these characters, man, there's such cool characters that you could show. Yes, Black Adam, who I just personally was so invested in, but also, hold on, you got the JSA who's sitting over here for decades and decades and decades that predated the Justice League. In no way do I want to step on Justice League. I love the Justice League because I'm a DC boy from a punk little kid. I'm still a punk little kid. So I love DC and I love Justice League, but let's expand this thing and let's introduce the JSA too as well. So to your point, to your question, there were a lot of elements about this that just kept me inspired, kept me motivated. And by the way, from that, from that tweet, yeah, I was so excited. We were so excited. It was almost 10 years ago, as you know. And even then, they had a rollout of the next 4 or 5 years, and Black Adam was at the end of that list. And
sure,
it's easy to go, all right, well, I'll put it to the side, but I didn't want to do that, man. I truly felt like, hey, we have an opportunity here, so here we are.
You have two choices. You can be the destroyer of this world, or you can be its savior.
Gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be with you. How's your day?
Good, Sean. Good.
Fantastic.
Good to meet you.
I dig the stash. See what's up.
Thank you very much. Mr. Brosnan, I saw in a GQ video recently, and then definitely noticed in the finished cut of this film, the wedding ring and the watch. And I know that those are part of your personal collection, but I was hoping that you could maybe talk about why you chose to include them as part of this character's development.
Well, thank you. Yes, well, Kent Nelson, he had a wife. He had Inzo was his wife. He is, in my books, he was a widower. And so my wife, Keely, I love watches, and she gave me a beautiful Blancpain there 15, 20 years ago. And the inscription is, time flies on love's wings. And so I thought it was very fitting to wear it as a timepiece for this character. And the wedding ring is my wedding ring. There is a silver amulet on my right wrist, which is Haida art, which is the mythology of the whales. And so, you know, those three objects became talisman for me. And I don't normally wear them in movies, but that's some of how Dr. Fate came into my being.
In this world, there are heroes.
I feel the pain in my city wherever I go.
And there are villains. Heroes don't kill people.
Well, I do.
Your director called him the Dirty Harry of superheroes, and there's a great Good and Bad and Ugly reference inside this movie too. Plays with the westerns a little bit. To what extent did Clint Eastwood influence your performance?
Greatly. Clint Eastwood has always been my favorite actor, and always, and especially those movies in the past, Unforgiven too as well. I mean, all of his movies, but especially those westerns. And I will say especially Unforgiven. He has always been my favorite actor. I had the honor to meet him. He surprised me a few years ago, and it was a true honor. And so the influence, you'll see that influence. And when I was talking to Jalma did come up with that, and he goes, let's make the Dirty Harry of the superhero genre. Let's do it. Let's be disruptive.
Go ahead. Make my day.
So I thank you for bringing up Jalma, man, because it really gives me an opportunity to acknowledge not only his vision, and because he had very specific vision on how he wanted to disrupt, how he saw this interpretation of disrupting, surrounded himself. Lawrence Shear, by the way, our DP, who's now on Joker 2, back on Joker 2, just incredible. He assembled an incredible team, but also just for me personally, this role was a departure from really anything I've ever done. So he really helped me too, as well.
I like those kind of characters that operate in the gray. Black Adam, we are kind of discovering this character that we don't know much about him, and he comes into a town that kind of has been oppressed by some bad guys, and he frees them. So that had a kind of a Western feel, like we've seen Western movies that have done that. So we just played a little bit with that. But so it's not a Western, it's not Dirty Harry. It's a little bit of that overall character that when the system kind of is broken, and which we've seen in a lot of movies, especially in the 70s, you need someone who doesn't follow the rules to kind of help the innocent or the people who are not protected, and that's where Black Adam kind of lives and can thrive.
We're here to negotiate your peaceful surrender.
I'm not peaceful, nor do I surrender.
A lot has been made about how difficult it could be for someone like Dwayne Johnson to disappear into a role. Right? We look at him and we see The Rock, but I'm just curious if there was a moment on set or a scene in particular where you finally looked at him and thought like, oh, I don't see Dwayne Johnson anymore. I only see Black Adam.
Oh, from the first time I saw him in the suit. I think, yeah, absolutely. I think the way that he kind of has like melted and blended himself into this character is just like amazing. And so, like Noah said, like a little bit is, when we were all there together, it was incredible. It's like, okay, this is like someone completely different and a side of DJ that we like, may not have seen before. And it's intimidating just naturally and very cool, and just, he's incredible to work with. So it was like it was amazing.
I gotta be honest, this is no hype. I'm not completely objective. I felt that way immediately.
Yes.
I felt that way immediately, and I think it was the apartment was the first scene we shot together, and just seeing him be so dry and evil but casual about it.
Yeah.
Like, it was just hysterical to me. And in that moment, I was like, oh, this is special. This is really what the amazing body of work that he has is all culminating and coming to a really in a fantastic way, like with Black Adam. And then the other scenes, whenever he's just floating above you when you're filming, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but that's pretty ridiculous. Like, the perfect lighting, and he's just there, and it's glowing behind him. I looked at him when we were doing the pickups. I was like, this is just fucking ridiculous. I mean, I have no other way.
He did that to me last week. I walked outside, and he was outside my house, just floating over.
I mean, I don't fly. I get big. That's what I do.
I don't care how many projects that you get to do over the course of your career. Playing a superhero in a blockbuster like this is going to be special for so many various reasons. And I want to know what you remember about the day on set that you saw yourself in a finalized version of what your Atom Smasher costume was going to look like.
Well, it wasn't on set, actually. It was in a fitting.
and I was with Kurt and Bart and you know the team of stylists, and I sat there. They gave it to me, and I put the hood on, and they zipped me up, and then I turned and I faced the mirror, and the 4-year-old in me just like exploded. It was so cool. I couldn't believe it. It was like, oh my God, this is real. Let's do it. And then we showed up on set, and that was a whole different ballgame.
This is phenomenally special in so many different ways. This is very rare air that we get to breathe as actors. Regardless of how many projects come along, there aren't many projects that can fit this bill, right? So I understand how special and unique this is. Stepping into seeing myself in the costume and sort of the full nature of things. I never really fully saw everything until, you know, the film was pretty much done, where I saw myself full wings and all, and the very first time I saw that, it was everything beyond what I could have ever imagined. And I knew it was special to me before, but that just completely, you know, expounded things 1,000-fold, because that's when you really see all of the hard work that you put in, every choice that you made, it all really comes together in a glorious way. But it's so far beyond, it's so much better than, it's so much more grand than what you could have imagined, and you just sit back and you kind of live in the wonderment of that. And it's an experience that's really hard to explain, because it's almost like you don't believe it. So for me, I'm still sort of in the living on in the high of what that felt like. It's
wait till you get to watch it with fans. Just wait to get to watch it with an audience.
I cannot wait for that. I can't wait.
Be prepared.
You guys have been having to talk about this film for a long time. The release date keeps getting pushed, or kept getting pushed back, and for the right reason. We wanted to wait till it was in theaters and fans could enjoy it together. But because of that, you guys have had to deal with very vocal fans. I'm just curious what it's been like hearing the anticipation for the movie and just the hype that gets built up for it. How plugged into that were you guys even, or did you just put it out of your mind and when it opens, it opens?
I mean, I wasn't
out of the mind.
Out of the mind, yeah. I wasn't really looking at any of it. But what I can tell you, and maybe you agree with me when I say this, it feels like a tsunami wave is coming.
Yeah,
I feel like we're just getting swept up in this tidal wave right now, and the excitement is growing. And we were just in Mexico City, you know, and we had, you know, thousands of people like around us just chanting, and they were so amped. And we have been so excited for, you know, the last year and a half since we started this project, and now to see that coming back at us is surreal.
And I think for me too, like in the beginning, like when the first release came out, I was so excited, so proud. I was like, yo, I'm playing this character. And I saw like a few of kind of like how people felt about me playing this character that's represented differently in the comic. And for me, that was kind of like the start of being like, all right, cool. Like that's how you feel, that's how you think. But I know I'm going to bring something special and authentic that goes past the bounds of race, gender, identity, whatever, and make something that I'm proud of and that is a solid representation of who this character is in the comics. And that is, you know, that was exactly my goal, and I couldn't be more proud of it and more proud of everyone else.
Good. That's also what the block button is for, when you just see stupid shit like that.
No, because I'm just like, I can't block it. Like, people should see how mean people are. Yeah. But also at the same time, you know, it's like, what are you going to do? You can only keep going and keep doing the work.
Fuck yeah.
Period.
Point up at the screen and say, that's me.
All day.
Yeah. Sorry, that's
all day.
That's Cyclone now.
Look, that's who it is.
However you feel about it, that's Cyclone.
But that's Cyclone. I just got goosebumps.
They're gonna kick me out of here, but do you plan at this moment to make the movie that is teased in the end credits?
Absolutely. That is the whole point of this, man. Thank you for asking that. And I have been saying for some time, there's a new era in the DC universe that's about to begin. And what I meant by that was introducing a brand new character. It's not a sequel, not an existing IP. It was you know, Black Adam. 2 years ago, the world had no idea who he was. We did, but not, you know, the rest of the mass out there, introducing the JSA, introducing that new era of the DC universe, but also what I really meant by this is a new era in the DC universe is listening to the fans. Listening to the fans. Now, and doing our best to give the fans what they want. And maybe sometimes down the road, and I went through this in pro wrestling, is you can't always give them what you want, but you'll always know that we're listening. And in this case, with what you and I are talking about, I have been listening and I've been wanting to address fans for years because I've been waiting for someone to step up and address the fans and say, hey, we hear you. So finally, after many months turned into many years, we ended up with what we ended up at. And the whole goal and intention now is to this new era, new time. Now let's build out. There's no one on this planet that can stop me.